Well, hi, everybody. Jeff Slakey here at the Alderbrook Resort for the Thursday, January 3rd Affordable Workforce Housing Summit put on by Peninsula Credit Union and other great organizations around the community. I'm sitting now with Andy Conklin, a certified residential specialist with the Conklin Team at Windermere Real Estate. Hey, Andy, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Jeff. How are you?
Good. This is a real important topic to talk about here in Mason County. Tell us first a little bit about our current market housing situation across the spectrum, and then specifically what we're talking about here with affordable workforce housing.
Well, we just wrapped up a really good 2018, and we had a nice selling season that held strong all the way through the summer. At the tail end of the summer, numbers of sales started to dwindle a little bit, as what I think we found is maybe a little bit of a price ceiling. And from the price ceiling, we've had to make some price adjustments, and as we make those adjustments, not big adjustments, just adjustments. But as we make those adjustments, we're seeing people coming to the party to buy those houses, and the inventory is still low, and the numbers of sales are okay.
Are there the houses in Mason County that are what we're talking about here today, affordable workforce housing? Is there a lot of those around, or where are we really missing that out on?
You know, as I was doing my research, what I'm going to be talking about later on today is basically from the low end of the income spectrum as far as affordable workforce housing to the high end. It bridges a gap between about $180,000 for a house up to $425,000 for a house. So that actually consumes about 60% of our total market. So there's a lot of houses that we have in that price range, which is good. As far as the University of Washington is concerned, Mason County is almost exactly where it needs to be as for affordability, but that's a tight line to walk.
What problems, as a real estate expert, do you see and do you come across when you have families looking for affordable workforce housing, people either coming into the county or staying in the county but maybe looking to move up in the housing market?
The people coming into our county, depending on where they're coming from, I mean, we see a lot of folks from Thurston County. We see a lot of folks moving here from Kitsap County because we're kind of right in between those two. They are they're kind of pleasantly surprised by what they can afford here, which is why they choose to move here, because $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 difference will pay for a lot of gas.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it'll pay for a lot of gas, and so the folks that are living here, and the biggest struggle with people who want to move up, their families growing, their the other factors are just saying, it's time for us. We've outgrown our house. It's time to move on. The biggest struggle is wages don't increase with them.
Sure.
And so that's where they really are having a hard time, because they're being priced out of what they think they should be living in, and have to make do where they are or settle for something smaller than what they thought they had, because their wages aren't increasing at the same level the prices are inflating.
What are some of the ways that you at the Conklin Team at Windermere Real Estate and other realtors around the county, what are some ways that you guys think that we are able to get ourselves out of this, and are there pushes that you are making to try to bring in more types of housing across the spectrum, but also affordable?
That's a great question. What we do specifically as real estate agents is there's not a lot we can do to help you get into a house that's more affordable. It's
Sure.
just the way it is. Wage increases. I mean, it kind of starts. It starts with wage increases, and then the other factor that's really, really problematic for us is we can't. It's really expensive to create new subdivisions, new lots available to be built on, because of the number of regulations and developments that are required by the various entities to get a subdivision approved. They become very expensive, and sometimes they're $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a lot by the time it's all said and done. And when you're done, if in Mason County, Shelton, Mason County, we have a $30,000 lot when it's finished, the land is virtually valueless. And so a lot of people are choosing not to build those subdivisions inside the urban growth boundary of the city. And if they could go outside, which they also can't do because we have 5-acre minimum lot sizes and things outside of the county, we can't create subdivisions with half an acre to an acre or those due to those kinds of regulations. So we're really stuck between a rock and a hard place there, because inside the urban growth boundary, it's too expensive to do the development, and outside we just can't for the regulation.
A lot of times, and I'm thinking about this here, folks, you're kind of the conduit, the go-between. The families would see you more than they would see the builder of the whole development and things like that. And so as you're able to hear from both sides, do you have a strong relationship with city government and county government to look at some of these regulations to try to say, listen, these things that we've been doing for a while are not working, and perhaps a change in a regulation here or a zoning change here would really get the ball rolling?
It's really a tough sell. I have very good friends that are a part of the city government. I have very good friends that are part of the counties. And we have these discussions when we're having dinner together. The government entities are kind of handcuffed by the regulations that get handed down to them through international existing building codes and these growth management acts and all these kinds. They're kind of handcuffed. They would like to be able to help, but if they help me, then they have to help you.
Sure.
And if they don't help me, I mean, that's not the right word, but if we cut a corner here and something goes sideways, do those entities then assume some liability on something going sideways when they overlooked it? So they're really handcuffed, and it's going to take a pretty significant overhaul. And boy, I wish I had the answer for that. I mean, that's kind of the crux of the situation.
Is that a federal to state to local, or can it be a state to county?
Like, for instance, if we talk about the international building codes, that's an international building code, and city, for instance, has the opportunity to adopt the international building code or write their whole code, their whole own code.
Sure.
Which, as you can imagine, could be the last. It's difficult to get anything approved through the city government entities, let alone writing building codes.
Right.
So it's not necessarily the easier to adopt the IBC. However, it is. There's really smart people working on that stuff.
It's there. It's been used.
Correct.
People get it.
Correct. So, short of that, it's difficult to write your own codes.
Andy Conklin is a certified residential specialist with the Conklin team at Windermere Real Estate. Thank you, Andy.
Thanks, Jeff.